the topic I sort of wanted to explore is, okay, they've stopped the bleeding. What are sort of the next steps for this team if they're going to be a real playoff contender down the stretch? And for me, the number one thing is the passing offense. We have to see more growth out of the passing offense, out of Cam Newton. And I think in a lot of ways and in many different areas on this team, I think that this Sunday's game in Houston is when you sort of put Cam Newton to the test and the passing offense to the test. I mean, look, the Texans are very good on offense. The Patriots are gonna have issues there defending them. Their defense is not that great, so hopefully the Patriots, don't fall behind early or something like that, and that scraps these plans. But I think, Nick, and I don't know if you agree, I think they need to start putting Cam Newton to the test. They need to open things up. They need to dial up a few plays and see what happens.
Yeah, even if it's just a handful of plays, even if it's just 6 or 7 plays, get a little bit, creative and, dare I say it, somewhat risky a little bit here with Cam Newton. Let's see what he can do. Try to give him
50-50. Yeah, I think they need to put up a 50-50 ball once in a while. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you need a little bit of risk thrown into this offense. And we know, listen, this offense is not going to be super explosive. It's never going to be a prolific passing attack. But every once in a while, you take those risks. You throw a football down the field, right? Maybe you throw to N'Keal Harry, a couple of back shoulders, see if he can make a play on a contested catch. Give your guys chances to make some plays. Damiere Byrd, he's been open a number of times. Try to hit him downfield. See what you can do. I don't disagree with the notion of taking a couple of gamble plays and seeing what Cam can do with those, because if you can hit just on 2 or 3 of those plays to go along with your bully ball offense, I mean, that's really what the Ravens did last year. When we look at how the Ravens were successful offensively, it was run. And then all they needed was Lamar Jackson to complete a couple of passes down the seam to Mark Andrews, hit a deep ball to Hollywood Brown, and then that opened up the offense. I think the Patriots are in a very similar situation, Greg. I think they can run the football. We know that. Their offensive line, I think, is very good. Now it's time to see if you can hit a couple of those deep balls, maybe go down the seam, maybe take a risk or two, because if you do that, that opens up the offense just that much more.
I do think your Ravens comp is apt because, obviously the Ravens have more upside. They have more talent in terms of, what Lamar Jackson can do when he's in the zone throwing the ball. He's a much more natural thrower and gifted thrower than Cam Newton is at this point in his career. He's got more talent. Plus, he actually has a living, breathing tight end or multiple tight ends to throw to. God forbid, what a novel concept. But I also think it's apt in terms of, look, this Patriots team can't get down 10, 14 points, 17, only against a god-awful defense like the Seahawks, which has only proved out more and more as the season's gone along, that was just that was an epiphany. It was out of the norm in Seattle that defense is just that bad. So we can't reference that at all in terms of what the Patriots can do when they get down. Now, do I doubt Cam Newton in terms of coming back? No. I think he has the potential to do that. But the way this team is built and the people around him, it's hard for them to come back because they just lack explosive plays. They just do. I mean, the only way they really get it is big runs, by the running backs. And once in a while, they'll pop a broken play in the pass.
Yeah, but your best 2 offensive players, Greg, just to highlight that, to jump in for a second, you've got Jakobi Meyers, who is, I think, now the best receiver on this team until maybe Edelman comes back and looks healthy, hopefully, fingers crossed. He's not an explosive guy. He's a good receiver. He's dependable, route runner, good hands, but he's not explosive. And then, as you mentioned, Damian Harris. So those are your 2 most explosive, quote-unquote, offensive players. You absolutely need some kind of different dynamic when you talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that lacking that just showed this offense has a ceiling this year that they can't get down 10, 14, 17 points in a game and expect to win unless the other defense is just awful and the team starts turning it over. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So they're similar to the Ravens in that regard. And you brought up Edelman, and that sort of leads into my number 2 thing about what they need to do more to take the next step. And that's, I don't know about you, Nick, but I think they need Edelman back, and I think they need a version of him. Certainly, what was better than what we saw on the field when he left. Hopefully, whatever he got done. Some people think he got platelets put in there. Some people think that it was just some sort of procedure to basically give him some temporary cartilage in his knee because there's a bone-on-bone situation there. Whatever it is, hopefully for the Patriots' sake and this year, something was successful and he is able to be, say, I don't know, 35% better than what he was when he left, and he can be that through the rest of the season because yes, Jakobi Meyers is nice, and people want to get all excited about, oh, maybe he can be a big slot and this and that. You need speed, you need quickness. Jakobi Meyers is fine. He's a good possession receiver, but this offense really needs a quick guy inside. They don't really have anybody other than that, especially since they're getting nothing out of the tight end position except a shot play here and there, like the 20-yarder last week to Izzo off play action, which will be open against the Texans. I can tell you that much after watching the film. So I think they need Edelman back. Other people disagree. I don't know where you fall on that.
Well, I think Edelman would help, right? I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. Like you said, if he comes back, number one, that's the first question. The second question is, he comes back, what does he look like? Is he 60% of Edelman? Is he 70% of Edelman? If you're talking 70, 75% of Edelman and he takes limited snaps, yeah, I think he could help. The other thing that I do wonder, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't even know if it makes sense as an option. But when you watch, Rex Burkhead out there as a receiver, I wonder if they could tinker with that a little bit. Could they possibly tinker with Rex Burkhead in the slot from time to time so he can, have those little quick routes for, Cam to get open, and then maybe, you shift a little wiggle there and gain an extra 4 or 5 yards. Maybe you can try a James White or a Burkhead in the slot. Everybody wanted the Patriots to go out there and get Le'Veon Bell. And I'm not saying Burkhead or White or anybody they have on the roster is like Le'Veon Bell, but I do think you see that. You see that from some offenses in the league where they would put a running back out there to try to make up for the lack of quickness. Maybe that's something McDaniels can do. But, overall, I agree with your point. I think they need Edelman. If it wasn't Edelman, an Amendola kind of receiver. I don't know if Gunnar Olszewski is that kind of guy, if he's quick enough, agile enough. And that's why one of the main things we talked about during the deadline, you and I, Greg, I brought up Golden Tate as one of the guys that I would be looking at if I were the Patriots. And, hindsight's 2020, but you've got Tate bitching about not playing in New York. And, I think that would have been an ideal fit for this team. Somebody of that ilk that you could play. So I do think Edelman would help out this offense.